Please, the show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Hey, hey, hey. It's your girl, Tina, back with the Bubbles and Flames podcast. It's been a long time. Tonight, the topic that we're going to talk about are the fragrance families and the fragrance wheel. So let's take a deep dive into it. We've actually got a screen share that we're going to look at. All right, so let's look at this. This is the actual fragrance wheel, and hopefully you all can see it. And of course, I got my mod squad hanging out with me in the background as always. So, what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to pick up from our conversation from last week about the fragrance families, and then we're going to look at how the fragrance families actually play into the fragrance wheel. So, a quick overview from last week. Hopefully, you remember and you took notes on what notes mean. What are fragrance notes? Fragrance notes, you have the top, the middle, or the heart note, and you have your base note or bottom note. All right. So let's talk about those really quick. Your top note is going to burn out or burn off rather in the first 10 to 15 minutes. That's what you smell initially. The example that I gave you was, for example, if you're using peach and peach is your top note, that's what's going to burn off quickly. And when I say burn off, that's what you're going to smell first. And then that smell is going to kind of blend in to your middle note. And let's say if you're using, I'm a gourmand girly, so I'm going to say vanilla. So it's the peach is going to gently blend into your vanilla, and your vanilla as a middle note is going to blend softly into or combine with that base note. And Rob mentioned last week he gave us oak moss, he gave us patchouli, he gave us cedar wood. So that's a heavier note. So that would be our base note. Your base notes typically, or bottom notes as you may hear them called, typically tend to be our heavier notes, such as your woods. And if you are doing florals, because remember Courtney gave us florals, that's where it all blends together. But the strongest and the final dry down scent typically are your base and middle notes. All right. So with fragrance notes, let's jump into our fragrance families that we talked about last week. Here are the original four. The first one is going to be florals. So, of course, that's all our floral scents, including our light florals, and we'll jump into a different breakdown in just a few minutes. You've got your ocean or your aquatic scents that fall under fresh. Also, your green scents or your more aromatic scents. So that's going to be more of your spa, your more, excuse me, more of your spa scents, and they typically fall in the green family. So that's that whole fresh era. Also, you have the woody scent, right? The woody or wood part of your fragrance wheel. And this is typically where most of your masculine fragrances are, some component of woody, and also most of them have that fresh component. All right. So again, we're going to get deeper into the woods. Remember, with one of my mods, Rob from Dapper Guru, he mentioned that he likes the woody or heavier scents. All right. Now, my favorite thing is the Oriental or amber note of the fragrance wheel because I like vanilla, gourmand, your warm and spicy scents. So I've got all of us covered there. And one of the questions that I asked last week, and think about this, can you combine the fragrance families? So you've got Rob, you've got Courtney, you've got me. Can you come out with a fragrance blend that touches on all of it to make all of us happy? Absolutely. Let's go talk about it. That means our sub families come into play. So let's go start out with florals. Floral has a fruity subfamily, and you wouldn't think that fruity falls under floral, but yes, it does. A lot of our fruits are more sweet. They've got a soft floral hint, so that's why they fall under florals and they mix well with the florals as well. Then you've actually got the floral family itself, such as your yin yang, your rose, your jasmines, your lily of the valleys. Of course, that is our floral family. Also, you've got your soft florals in there as well. So again, the floral family is fruity, it's floral, and it's even a very light, soft floral. All right. And a lot of your florals are usually your soft florals are your top notes. All right. So let's go on to the next one, which is going to be fresh. So more of your aquatic scents, your green scents like fresh grass, cool water is a cologne that comes to mind. Dior, all of that falls under fresh. If you are a Arabic fragrance lover, how about your harem, that gold that everybody's into? But the oud, though, this is where it gets kind of interesting. The oud actually falls under woody. So our fresh fragrance family in the subcategory is combined of water, aromatic, green, and citrus, right? So let's go talk about Rob's favorite family, your ouds, your woodiness, your smokiness, your leathers, your vetivers. All of that falls under woodsy or woody, the woody fragrance family, which is your mossy or your oak moss, right? And I'm looking at the fragrance wheel on my screen if you see me look away. Also, your woods, such as your cedar wood, your sandalwood, your patchoulis, more of your heavier scents, remember? And rounding it out with your dry woods. All right, so that is the wood or woody family. And of course, I have to end out with myself with the Oriental or the amber, which are your vanillas, your gourmand scents, such as caramels, your chocolates, your cakey type stuff. All of that falls under your Oriental or your amber. So for amber in particular, which is also Oriental, you've got your woody amber, and your soft amber. So that is going to round out our wheel that I have up here for right now. A little bit later in the podcast, in just a few minutes, I'm going to put up a more complicated or sophisticated wheel for you all to see here in just a second. Let me cue it up. That is going to show what most of us as fragrance makers, what we use. Give me just a second here. Let me actually cue this up. All right, and hopefully you all can still see my screen. Let's see here. Let me fix it real quick. All right, I have changed it now to the more complicated fragrance wheel, which is what I'm going to share with you tonight. All right. So if you look, it's broken down into the different areas, right? So this one is very detailed. Again, I'm happy to send this out to you. I'll link it in the show notes. But this fragrance wheel is provided today by Plant Therapy, and it is very, very detailed. So let's talk about that. On here, you're going to see it's actually broken down into herbal, medicinal, floral, your spices, your woods, your fruity, mint, um, your food like, which is like I said, your vanillas, your coffees, any blends with vanilla, earthy, and green, right? So that's why I said this is more so for those of us that are candle makers, soap makers, if you make perfume, or if you're just a true fragrance lover and you want to create your own blends. That is what this chart is for. All right, because as you see, it goes very deep into not only the original four, but it also gives you a lot of the sub families. And I'm going to call out just a few that I know are our favorites for me and the mods. And also, excuse me, I'm trying to do two things at once here. And also call out some of the more spa like scents and the families that they fall under for some of our favorites. All right. So let's look at that really quick. So let's go ahead and start out with our spa or medicinal or healing scents, right? That is more of your eucalyptus, your mint. And that is here in this like blue or tealish area, our tea tree scents, our lemon eucalyptus. And see, that's kind of a combo because we mentioned citrus, which is under fresh, but it's under here because it's combined with eucalyptus. So again, you're layering several different families together. All right, but let's look at herbal and fresh, which is right next to it. And I like this area because some of the scents are really funny in here. So in here, we've got more of our herbs, such as oregano. We've got our lemongrass, which is a huge favorite at the spa, our deal weed, our basil, more of our kitcheny sounding scents, right? And yes, there is a huge market for these scents in kitchen candles or kitchen scented candles. Also, if you do your hand soaps, a lot of people like lemon mint, lemon eucalyptus. All of that is in your herbal and medicinal areas. All right. So, real quick, let's talk about green. Green is where your pine scents are, and we are coming up on the fall in the winter, right? So we've got to start thinking about that green area. I know that I was talking with Rob and Courtney earlier about our fir scents, our tree scents, right? Your pines, your firs, more of that, your cypress, yes, definitely, are in this area under green. Let's talk about your earthy scents for those of us that like our mirth, right? Mirth is a big one. That's an earthy scent, it's a heavier scent. All right, what else do we have here? We also have our frankincense, right? I was talking with someone else that I met earlier who's going to do a line, and she's interested more in your spiritual sense, your patchoulis, your myrrh, your frankincense, all of your incense type smells, right? So me, of course, I had to jump real quick before I jump over to the floral and the spice area. My food like, or for my gourmand lovers, if you are a gourmand girly or guy, because some of the guys like the gourmand scents as well, your caramels, your vanillas, all your coffee scents, your bourbon, all of that type stuff is in your food area. And again, we're going to talk about mixing up our scents because they can be mixed with the different layers and the different families. So, ladies first, let's jump over to the florals, which again is Courtney's area that she likes. And some of those things that are in there are your lavender, your neroli, your rose, your lily of the valley, your chamomile. So, some of those very floral scents, your jasmine is in there that we talked about. And then within the floral, you've got fresh, and you've got sweet. So there's a division in there as well. So let me give you some examples for fresh. Your fresh scents are going to be more your lavender, your neroli, your rose scents, your sage, right? Whereas if you get into your sweet florals, that's going to be more of your jasmine. That's going to be more of your yin yang, just to give you an idea. So, can I mix a fresh floral and a sweet floral? Absolutely. Try it out. Start thinking about what you're going to be layering and blending because coming up in the month of August, we're going to start setting you up because remember, we're on our fragrance journey, learning about our basics, and then we're going to get through August with all of our basics. And then, bam, in September is what I'm known for, what we're known for, what we do on this podcast: blend, blend, blend. Layering, blends. That's all we're going to talk about every episode and even some pop up episodes for the month of September. All right, so that's coming. So we're just getting the basics out of the way. So moving on to the guys. Let's go with our representative for the men, which would be Rob and woods. All right. So he's got all types of stuff in the woods, and I'm going to turn my head sideways kind of. So we've got our vetiver, which is right at the bottom of our wheel. We've got sandalwood. We've got, what else is on here? Our patchoulis, our cedar wood, are we've got some funny names, especially for me trying to pronounce it sideways, but anything that is in your wood family, your smokes, your leathers, your heavier scents fall under the wood. But don't forget your spices. What do you mean by spices? Your cardamom. Cardamom is amazing. Your star anise, your pepper scents, your pink pepper, all of that, your nutmegs, all of that falls under your spices, even garlic. Who wants garlic in a candle? But remember, I talked about your kitchen scents. So, yes, garlic falls under your spices. And not to leave them out, but pretty much for this episode anyway, last but not least, let's talk about our fruity fragrances. A lot of our citrus falls under there, but fruity falls into fruity fresh and fruity sweet. So our citrus is going to fall under fruity fresh, all right? Our oranges, our lemons, our limes, all of our favorite scents are mandarin. One of my mods, she's not on here tonight, but Jayla, this is one of her favorite families, fruity, fresh scents. Most guys, for their fragrances, in your masculine fragrances, they love to have a fresh, fruity wood smell, right? So remember, our top notes are always going to be our lighter notes, which are your citrus fragrances, right? And then they top it out with, of course, the more stronger, more masculine fragrances. So you just have to decide where you're at on the wheel. For me, with fruity, I tend to like the sweet fruity, strawberry, blueberry, any type of berry. I love a good smelling scent. And again, if you watch me on TikTok, go check out my TikTok shop. I uploaded a lot of my favorites in the TikTok shop. And I'm new at that, so follow me on there as well. It's Bubbles and Flames, of course, the Bubbles and Flames podcast. We've even got our own shop now. We've got our own website. Season 2, we're doing big things. So check us out. Go check out the website for the blends, because you never know. I'm going to switch them to where you got to pay for them soon, because coming soon on TikTok, we're going to start our subscriptions, and you have to be subscribed to get the blends. So that's my quick and dirty for the fragrance wheel, the fragrance families, and the fragrance notes. So next week, our topic is going to be the fragrance topics. And what does it mean when I say topics? All of our topics are going to be combined together, because we're going to wind up with our fragrance terms. So we will have talked about fragrance notes, fragrance families, the fragrance wheel, blending, and layering. And then we're going to set us up for the next thing that we go to, which is blend, blend, blend. And then we're going to get into some specifics for our candle and soap makers, as well as if you only do fragrances. So, again, thanks for following. This was a quick episode to bring you up to date on your fragrance families, your fragrance wheel, and your fragrance notes. Again, join me next week, live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. If not, catch the replay on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Talk to you soon. Have a good week.